talk about the history of the park. Before we start that, I just want to give you a little bit of an update on the Historical Society. We are back and running. We are having this meeting tonight. We have a meeting in September by the Gerhards, who are going to talk about the old factory that's down in the bottom of Old Church Road and South Station Road. And then in October, we're going to have the, I just went right on my head. Damiani's are in October talking about the history of Waxhaw, and then in November is going to be the Raymer family talking about the history of their racing team. If you haven't had a chance, and some of you didn't, please look at our table that's up here. We have an adorable letter that was written by a little girl to the Lewises about the park, which is really interesting to see. We found it in the archives.
We're actually going to have Mr. O'Donnell read that.
Oh, perfect.
At some point. At some point, because if I read that, I'm going to cry.
Then we've got that covered. There's some articles about when the park was open. We also have some books here that we are looking for, just anecdotes that people might have. This one is on summers in Upper Salford Township, fishing and farming. So if you have anything to add, we're just collecting little vignettes from different people. There's papers to take with our upcoming meetings on it. If you're not signed up on our email list and you would like to be, there's a paper for that as well. Just another announcement, the fire company is having on September 11th a march in the park with several different fire companies to commemorate the 20th anniversary of September 11th. So that's going to be happening. There'll be more information coming out on that later, but we have several other fire companies that are interested in joining us, and the public is invited to do that as well. So, do you want to introduce our main speaker?
If I could, without further delay, introduce Ted Poatsy, Township Supervisor, even though he's a relatively new resident of the township. Your family been here for, what, since the Mayflower?
1947.
That's great.
And we're newcomers.
But Ted, one of the township supervisors that's done so much for the township and was so instrumental in the development of this park. And he will be giving a presentation on the history, so I will turn it over to Ted.
Thank you, Rick. I get emotional. All right. So Upper Salford Park, as my wife says, this is my mistress.
Oh, yes.
I'll be all right. This is, we come after church every Sunday, we do a drive-through to check things out. We've done that since
it opened. Yeah.
Unless I really have to pee, then I'm good.
See that, we're honest here. But a lot of people around the room have seen this park before it was developed from a farm field at Stutzman's farm. What's that? Oh, it's Stutzman's farm. It was something that was a vision, was a dream. That came together, which is really cool to see something. So I'm going to tell you the backstories, the stories that people don't even know, stories that people might laugh when they hear about it, but I've been in this community since born, and my parents were involved with the fire company, and we used to go to the Lilliput Farms to the horse show. It was a fundraiser for the firehouse. So there, my dad ran the local tavern. So there would be a square trailer that served drinks, Coca-Cola and 7-Up. And so the Lewis boys, Rusty and Andy, would always be my friends because they wanted to get in the truck and they wanted to tap sodas. That was really cool. So we'd run around and the three of us would jump in the trailer and serve people Cokes with their hot dogs or whatever they got. So I got to be friends with Drew and the boys, and I was invited periodically down there to bale hay. A lot of fun. Wow, baling hay on the back of the trailer, going to the barn, sweating your little. But the nice part about it is Drew and Marilyn would invite me back to dinner, which was really cool. So I got to know them, and I got to know Drew pretty well. I worked for him at the Reading Company down at Plymouth Meeting. I worked for him at the Department of Transportation in Washington, D.C. when he was Secretary of Transportation. Went away to business school. I worked for him up in Bethlehem for Union Pacific Corporation. So I knew him pretty well. I knew where to push and where not to push, and where to step on his toes and where not to step on his toes. So this is the inside story. And first, this park took everybody. It takes a team. This is not about me. It takes a team. But I want to thank everybody who have donated time, effort, talent to make Upper Salford a great place. Just not here. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how we changed the thought process, the thinking of Upper Salford. But first, I want to thank Joe and Earl and Lewis. God bless their souls. This donation was a game changer. Just changed the thought of how we have a community. I want to thank the road crew who keeps this place beautiful. Look around, it's incredible. Marty Lynch does a great job. Sheldon, John, Drew, Hartberg, Hack, Martin Bauer used to work here. Kyle Lynch, Marty's son, Marty Sr., Mose, they really make this place beautiful. I want to thank the supervisors, Kevin O'Donnell, Rick Sass, Ken Hagee had a big part in this. Steve Imms was actually a supervisor before he was a solicitor. Ruby Goulart, without them, Upper Salford wouldn't be Upper Salford. I want to thank the Planning Commission. Gary Raisner's here. Did I miss anybody, John? Chris Bean, former member of the Planning Commission, is here. Bob Mace, Scott Master, Gary Larson, Gary Raisner, and John Giannini. And they've been longtime members of our Planning Commission. Then I want to thank the Open Space Heroes, as I call them. John Winter. We'll talk about that later. Horace Saylor. We'll talk about him also later. Cliff Marks was one of the first people that donated a piece of land, and we matched him. So he donated an acre, we bought an acre. So we bought 1 acre, but we really got 2 acres over in Moyers Marks Park. Kathleen Shirk is here. Kathleen Shirk Hut. I knew where was Kathleen Shirk, so I put that down to the Kathleen Hut. I was afraid if Bill was here, we wanted his name. And I want to thank Bill Hutt also. Rick Buckman has been very helpful. Tara Ganner, actually Joe Ganner, is in the back there. We just bought 24.5 acres from them for open space next to the Heaster Preserve. So they're open space heroes. They work with the township to preserve more open space. And John Kyle on Spring Mountain Road, he worked with us to, we'll see that later on the new trail that we're putting in. But those people understand that the water we drink, the septic we put in the ground, okay, the air that we breathe, Upper Salford is shining star. We are a nicer community to live in than Lower Marion or Cheltenham or New Hanover. You should hear the people. And in fact, I don't know how many people are from Lower Salford, but a lot of people in Lower Salford aren't happy with what's going on in Lower Salford. So this place is great. In 28, 27 years, these guys on the Planning Commission, good zoning, we built somewhere around 85 houses in 27 years. That's it. Not in a weekend, like in Lower Salford, or in 27, going on 28 years. That doesn't count the new house at the corner down here across on Clemmer's Mill Road. That's a tear down and a replacement, so that's really not technically an additional house. It's just the way the rules are on that. I want to thank Dottie, longtime secretary, Christine, treasurer, Sue, everybody knows Sue, Amy now, Lori, Luann, Pat, Barbara, Jenny, and Mary Ann for all their help, the Historic Society, and everything else that, you know, they're not just a historic society with a parade, they're this, they're that, which is good. I want to thank everybody who lives here. Without you guys, you know, we wouldn't have a beautiful place to enjoy. So thank you, everyone. The Save Open Space was prior to the Upper Salford Citizens Group, and that was everyone. That was everybody. This is not self-gratifying. I just wanted to show that there was a time where I didn't have gray hair. So this is when I started.
Tell me the playground.
Okay, what's that?
Tell me the playground looks.
The playground is brand new. I got my Ted Poatsy button on. Put the kids out front to get votes. Yeah. But here's Teddy. Stand up, Teddy. And Laura's in there. But the point of the matter is, been working at this for a long time. You know, as we all know, it's day by day, but the point is, it's forever. All right, here's where we started. The only land that the township had in 1993 was 15.7 acres, which is the William Raymer Park Township Building, a little ball field, the island, and a little bit along the creek. That's all we had, 15.7 acres. I remember as a kid working in the hotel, there was a discussion about Upper Salford maybe buying the diabetic camp, which is Camp Flyer, Camp Rainbow, but that would have cost $187,000 or something like that. Whoa, we would have a swimming pool, we had a pavilion, the whole 9 yards. It was like, when we think about that, that's a bargain. But we didn't do it because we didn't have the mindset. We didn't have the intent, the vision, the thought process of how our environment worked. When you don't build houses, you have open space. The Gander property down here is 24.5 acres. So you can see what we accumulated. All it took was a guy who tried to push the community in a corner and build 1,108 mobile homes. He didn't know anything about Upper Salford. We don't take that kind of crap. We hired, with Drew's help, we hired Philadelphia lawyers. So if we're going to play in the sandbox, we're going to get the staff. We had Wolf Block come in and represent our little township. And by the way, we discovered that the head partner, whatever they call it, what do they call a head partner? Whatever, the general partner of White and Williams lived in our township and would volunteer his time to fight this legal battle against Mullen and Company and Collins and Slaughter. And if anybody ever saw, what was his name, Alan Starr, he had a lazy eye. So he would cross-examine the witness, and his eye would go like this, and the guy would like be distracted because his eyes were going like this. It was great. We took that all the way to the Supreme Court, and we won. I forget how many years, but many of you were part of Save Open Space, Upper Salford Citizens Group, and we raised over $200,000 ourselves just to pay for lawyers. I mean, Drew would get us a card from Ford, we raffle it off, we get it at cost, we get it lower than anybody else, we raffle it off, and we just went on and on and on. So we did a great thing, and then our mindset changed. We don't want 416 townhouses. Townhouses, rows. We call it rows, townhouses, what they call them. We didn't want 1,108 mobile homes. So we continued to fight, and we began to appreciate what God had given us, open space. It is great. So, next slide, please. With 395, we've got to find 5 acres, and we've got to find 10 acres and work with the owner to get over 400. This is the plaque behind the wall here that said this park, this is Lewis Pavilion, we got to promote that a little bit more. Upper Salford Park, donated by Drew and Marilyn Lewis, Township Supervisor Ross, dedicated October 12th, 1997. So we're coming up to our 25th anniversary of this park. So it's the sign, the new sign, the pavilion was gray at the time. Mrs. Lewis, little story about this pavilion. It's beautiful. If anybody's inside, goes inside, it's beautiful lumber. It is beautiful lumber. We came to look at the progress of the park, and Mrs. Lewis had her painters out here. So it was beautiful cedar lumber. Got painted. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? What happened to the green one? It looks beautiful, doesn't it? You know, that's the little white lie. And the truth of the matter is, unfortunately, it got painted and it needed continuing painting. 1993, there was something down at the county. It was a push and block called the Blue Ribbon Open Space Committee. That committee met down in Norristown at 3 o'clock. Luckily, I was the Save Open Space Upper Salford Citizens Group Chairman, and I was asked to join that. Drew sort of put me on that committee, which was great. So I got to meet community members from all over the county, and we meet at 3 o'clock. There were some issues. Upper Marion, Lower Marion, Springfield, big communities. Upper Salford, Green Lane, Red Hill, small communities. How do you manage distributing $100 million? There's a fight between big and little. There always is, okay? So it's based on population. Well, that stinks for us because you only get so much per person in the township. So we settled on a allotment and then so much per person. So everybody got something substantial that they could do something. One of the most successful programs in Montgomery County history. Okay? $60 million was spent by municipalities. $40 million was sat on by the county. They never did anything with it. But the 60% that went to every one of the 62 municipalities was spent, and spent on wonderful things like this park. But $100 million. And then Drew and I would, since he hired me, we would drive to Bethlehem. Every once in a while, he would take an airplane out to God knows where, and he didn't want to leave his car at the airport, so he would ask me to give him a ride. So we'd go up, and we'd take 563 going across the ridge, and we would look at that James Park in West Rock Hill. What a beautiful park. What a great idea. So one of those times I said, listen, kids are playing soccer. They have so many kids playing soccer on these soccer fields. Can we lease this property, which he had leased to Stutzman, to build some soccer fields for our kids? He said, sorry, folks. It's leased to the farmer for the next 2 years, 3 years. I said, all right. I said, good try. 2 years later, he offered to give us 27.21 acres and $500,000, $500,000. Remember how I started to talk? You gotta know somebody, you gotta know when to step on their toes, you gotta know them inside and out. We said thank you, the township said thank you, we'll take the land but not the $500,000. And he goes, what's going on? And I said, to be honest with you, the township supervisors don't want to sit in every township meeting bidding on 5 and 10 cent screws and hammers and shovels and landscaping. We don't want to sit there forever and bid that stuff out. I said, how about if we do this? I said, you keep your $500,000 and you get a planner. Plan a park, build it so that we don't have to bid any of the contractors. If we don't use Haynes and Kimballhouse, I don't want you to call me up or us up and say, how come you didn't use my buddies at Haynes and Kimballhouse? I said, you have the $500, you pay for who you want to hire, and you turn the keys and the land to us when it's over, one big donation. And he liked it. He really liked it. That way, through Kevin O'Donnell, we met a guy by the name of Pete Simone and Jaffe. And he was renowned for designing parks. And he did the park. The long driveway is supposed to be a long farm driveway. There's meaning behind a lot of the stuff. That flower bed wasn't supposed to be there because we were supposed to be able to have concerts from here and have people out there up the drive. The problem is that's our one way in. Now there is one way in and out, but it's not wide enough. So that didn't work, so we do our concerts this way. But that was the vision, and Simone did a great job. We had 27 acres to go. The nice part is the result. Once again, you gotta know who you're dealing with. Drew liked things the way Drew liked things. So if that car wasn't best, he would get the luxury model, or he'd get the super model, or he'd get it with a plan where a guy would come to his house and wax it every day. Okay? Because he was very successful in business. So the result was $27.21 and $800,000. And Drew looked at me, he goes, you knew that, didn't you? So, the parking lot. Anybody remember how the original parking lots looked? How did the original parking lots look? Stone. Stone. I got a call. He goes, Poatsy. He goes, I have Bechtels coming Tuesday to macadam those 2 parking lots. I'm paying them $40,000. And I'm saying, stop! Okay? You donate the $40,000 to us. Bechtel's our contractor. We'll pay him the $40,000, macadam that, and you can take a tax deduction, because otherwise he'd just be paying them. Take a tax deduction, and what we did with that $40,000, we got $25,000 match from the state to put the kitchen equipment in here. So we took $40,000, we made it $65,000 just by doing things the right way and understanding and knowing what's going on, which was pretty cool. So the reason he didn't want the stone is because he was a board member of Ford Motor Company. So every quarter he would have to accept a car from Ford. You can sell the other ones, give the ones back after 3 months or whatever. So he had a Jaguar delivered to him because Ford owned Jaguar at the time. So he would come in here every morning to inspect this because he didn't want this place to look like crap. So he would come down here, drive down there and inspect that, and drive over there and inspect that. And he'd call and complain to me. He goes, my brand new car is dusty. So I'm calling Bechtel's and he'll be out there on Tuesday. Okay? You have the money to do that. So that's a hidden backstory about how those parking lots got paid. Community investment. which is cool about this place. You look around, you see all the beautiful landscaping designed by Simone and Jackie. Peter, Simone really have personal interest. But in order to save some money, because at that point, I guess we didn't own the park yet, but we volunteered to do the planting. So people like Marty and Mary Ann and Kevin and Gary and maybe Ruth, whatever, they marked the park. Jane, were you part of that? They marked the beds with whites, whatever kind of chalk or whatever, where certain plants were. So we had, Chris, 130 people, 125 people come on a Saturday. 3 people bought the tractor with buckets on them but we had all this planted. You can see this is partially, they're waiting for the tractor to come back. Again, somebody came home, I'm not sure who was between Linda Martin, Chris Bean, and his little son. Jeff. Stand up, Jeff. He's a little bit taller now. And that's the pavilion. There's Mary Ann and Ruth. They were planting. We planted these beach bones so that people wouldn't run through it. They wouldn't steal things. Those things have thorns. Not many people haven't survived. And, it's a shame that Steve isn't here. Steve Imms on his little new track. He's relatively new, and he would deliver buckets of mulch from the parking lot. The funny thing is, if Steve would have been here, I would have said, yeah, that's Chris Imms, his son. Because he looks like Chris now, but now he's a little bit older. He's got this gray hair. So it was a great community investment. Since Drew was involved in investing in politics, we had John Fox up here, Supervisor Goulart, Supervisor Hagee, and me without gray hair. We used to have a pavilion back here. Unfortunately, some young lads, some Saturday night after a couple of brewskis, they beat this poor pavilion up that we had to take it away because it was so beaten up. Little vandalism, but you know, life goes on. But we had John Fox, who was our congressman at the time here. This was the dedication of the park, and this is a prayer. It was the blessing. There's Marilyn, there's Drew, Rudy, I'm shadowed in the back there, Ken Hagee. A lot of people remember Senator Hall, or Pennsylvania State Senator Hall was here. And I think that may have been a young Ray Bont, a gentleman, Frank Barr was a friend of ours too. So that's what the 27 acres looked like. We had an NCAA baseball field. We had a softball field. We had another Little League / softball field, but we couldn't attract Carlosville 4-1 field over here. We had the pavilion, we had the sandbox and swings and the playground, and that was it. No flagpole, no other amenities. Through the open space, we got something like $500,000 or $600,000, $560,000, I believe. The first thing we did was we heard that Mr. Winter over here, John Winter, was thinking about retiring and maybe moving to Florida. So we talked to him about lopping off his open field in the back, 12.53 acres, and we gave him a fair price. Montgomery County paid most of its share. We paid 10% of that. He agreed. We also did something smart, and Joe can attest to it. We condemned it. By condemning it, he doesn't have any taxes from when he bought it to now, so no capital gains taxes. So we did some smart things from our open space toolbox. And then we looked to this side, and there was an elderly gentleman named Horace Saylor, getting up in the years, but he owned 16.48 acres and another 1.5 acres around his house. So we cut a deal with Horace to buy that land, 16.48 acres, and his house, with the caveat that he could live in his house till he passed away, or till he didn't want to. So we had life rights to his house, which is pretty creative in the purchase of open space. He didn't have to go anywhere, he didn't have to pay any rent ever again. He had paid no taxes ever again, because the township owned the thing. So we had to subdivide that off from the 16 acres because Montgomery County wouldn't give us money to buy houses. So they'd only buy us for open space. So we did, township can do a subdivision, we did a subdivision. So we got 16 and a half acres. Well, guess what? We doubled the size of Upper Salford Park. Over there, that's at fallow. Over here, we didn't do much. The farmers still farm the ground. So we have a park that doesn't, I mean, we can only take Drew for $800,000. I was trying for more, but it just didn't work. But we have the winter track, we have the sailor track. Unbeknownst to us, or actually known to us, because the subdivision across Schleitzville Road, Horace had another 20 acres. So that's later on down. Well, when he passed away, his executors came and said, "You guys interested? Open space." So we did a deal. It was a different open space program with Montgomery County that if you are in one municipality, you only got a 20% match. It's like, I grew up around here. I know how to squeeze a nickel till the buffalo's eyes pop out. So I talked to my buddies in Lower Salford, and they said, "Sure, we'll sign along with that because your guys from the Harlesville Soccer Association come up in here." So there's Upper Salford and Harlesville kids, Lower Salford kids using this park. If we ever have to build more soccer fields or football fields, we have that piece of property. So Lower Salford signed on a resolution. We went down to Montgomery County and said, 10% match, thank you. They didn't have any money in our pocket. So the executors sold us that piece of property, so all of a sudden we bought another 20 acres, so we almost tripled the size of Upper Salford Park. Not many people know that that's open space, but it's okay. It's draining our water, cleaning our water, the whole 9 yards. We have that farm too. Then the fallow fields over here, the soccer club finally came to us because they were using that field, they were using these fields. And they said, "We really need to have some permanent soccer fields." They said, "Dude, we got the land, we can't afford to build them." They said, "If you give us the land, you give us 10 or 15 years, guaranteed that we can use it from 5:30 till 8 o'clock or whatever, 5 or 6 days a week, and have games on Saturdays, we'll be happy to build these fields." So we had a design, we bought a stone parking lot. We had two big fields and a little field or whatever, but Harlesville Soccer Club paid $125,000 to hire a contractor to do that. They had exclusive rights to the soccer field, and the soccer field would fertilize and prep fields. Okay, simple deal, right? You need a lawyer to do the damn fine print. When I say fertilize the fields, okay, would you know it? They would fertilize the square of the soccer field. Whatever's to the left or right to the walking trail wouldn't get fertilized because it's not the soccer field. Now, you guys are kidding me. Have the guy match the grass all the way around. You just want to throw grass on the soccer field. So it's like stupid. So we're still working with them today when they have their landscape guy or whatever come out to fertilize to the walking trail, and actually fertilize on the other walking trail because we fertilize this. It's just so piecemeal. Isn't it stupid? I mean, just drives us nuts.
You don't have to agree.
So we had the 72 acres. We developed that. We farmed that. Back in the day, I don't know if anybody remembers, there was a folk festival. On a Thursday, it rained cats and dogs. And the first first RV to pull into the Wolford Road lot, which was owned by the Folk Song Society, got stuck. So nobody else could get in there because they were stuck in the mud. Those people circled the township at least 10 hours. They were circling Schwanksville Road, Wolford Road. They had them going down to Schwanksville, going up to Zieglersville around. The loop kept on getting bigger. Finally found some space at Walmart. They could put some people for a while, the whole 9 yards. So an event for the township got screwed up by Mother Nature. We finally got that. So following that episode, the township talked to the Folk Song Society. They said, hey, we got a deal for you. How about if Upper Salford builds, quote unquote, walking trails around the perimeter of your property? Our people will walk on them or run on them 365 days a year. When you have your folk festival, your people will drive on cinders to the field, and even if we get one car, we'll get a heck of a lot off than circling. So we didn't do any cross beams, we just did one around. Worked for years. We signed an agreement with them, we insured them, and indemnified our walkers the whole 9 yards. The only problem is, most people here thought the township owned that ground. Which was nice, you walked around it and thought that it was part of the park. 2 years ago? 2.5 years ago? 3 years ago, actually we got a phone call. Folk Song Society, because attendance was down and other things, wanted to put that lot up for sale. Okay? Because of our efforts of open space, clearing the water, property values are going up. So they could have built 4 houses on that property. We're like, ew. Lisa is our contact there. We said, Lisa, you got one buyer. It's us. We cannot let you sell that to a developer for 4 houses. So we negotiated a deal. So we bought that property for $240,000. We put together a presentation, went down to the open space board, got on our knees, got our tin can, and they gave us 50%. So the township only had to put out $120,000 for that property. But it was the right thing to do. We had to put out that money. We were trying to get more from Montgomery County, but was this beginning of COVID or whatever? But we closed it during COVID, but we were right in there so we could go face to face and do the presentation, and then I guess everything shut down. But they knew how important it was to get the money to the Folk Song Society that the county commissioners met and did the deal. So this was part of the presentation that we did to them. It connects to the park, the winter track there, and we did that. So now you can see sailor track, Lewis donation, winter track, Wolford Road. Getting bigger. Once again, Wolford Road will be farmed, the grass will be cut, because unless somebody here wins the lottery and wants to do improvements over there, it'll be farmed because we don't have money to do that. So, but it's better to be farmland than houses. In the meantime, we had some ingenious young men. These things called Eagle Scout projects. Scout has to do a project in the community that benefits the community, and they have to donate their time, they have to raise the money, and do the project management, and then once they get the project signed off by the township or whatever, and their scoutmaster, they, after they built the project, they can then apply to achieve their Eagle Scout. The first one was sand volleyball, which, okay, sand volleyball. Let me go back one, please. We have 5 Eagle Scout projects: sand volleyball, memorial flagpole and stone wall, 9-hole disc golf course, 911, 911 location markings to the park trails for GPS reasons, and the painting of the park pavilion. Unfortunately, this past year we stoned it because some of the wood was rotting out, but part of the painting we can still see. Okay, now let's deal. This is Jacob Schneck. Mr. Schneck's in the background. Katie's son did the sand volleyball. It looks fine, okay? Sand volleyball courts are 3 foot deep. There's a lot of sand from New Jersey in there. They almost wrecked our road because we had a McCallum because these big tractor trailers come here with sand. Great addition, and Salvage at the time was winning state volleyball championships or whatever, which is pretty cool. Now, this is, we didn't have a flagpole. We didn't have a flagpole. The community used to have a memorial stand outside the hotel by the post office. That's gone. I'm still looking for pictures of that. I think I have one, but it doesn't give the detail. But it had all the people from World War I or whatever listed. Unfortunately, they didn't know about the sun bleaching everything out, so that it was 4 or 5 cedar trees that had fallen over. But we never had a memorial. We didn't have a flagpole here, so Teddy did the memorial flagpole. So that's a circular stone wall out there with pavers inside, and he got a stonemason to volunteer his time. That stone is from a barn off of Hendricks Road. The Smith family donated that. We took wagons, we had a hay wagon, and we filled it with stone volunteers. And remember what happened? It bowed and we couldn't move it. So Ted Poatsy called our friend Marty, who's very engineer, like, what do I do? So we brought the big dump truck down. It was a township project, so we load all that. One of his fellow scouts, Evan Monday, didn't realize that he was terribly allergic to poison ivy. He had to go on steroids. His face blew up. His body blew up. Poor guy. Well, we landed all the stone down here, and Teddy, 500 hours. The stonemason said to him, you know, dude, this could have been easy. This could have been straight up and over, 2 corners. No, this goes up, over, down for seating in there on a circular thing. So he said, this is pretty challenging, dude. So he actually, Teddy and some of his friends laid some of the stone in there, and it was actually pretty cool. And then in the wintertime, we disguised the flagpole. We were putting lights on this tree, and it just didn't work out for the Christmas tree lighting. So Marty and Marianne saw this somewhere and said, this is pretty cool. So Marty, when you say something, this is pretty cool to Marty, like, he goes and does it. We got PVC pipe and put the circle around and put all these Christmas LED lights. And he just did that, and it's really pretty cool. And you can see it from all around. So that's the flagpole without a flag, but with a star and whatever. Mr. Schneck's youngest son did a 9-hole disc golf course in the lands around the playing fields. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we went around the fields. He didn't use land that we could use for playing fields, but he used the outside land. And we said, we've seen these golf courses before. Okay? Really? That golf course has 3 to 15 people on it almost every day. There's somebody playing golf. It's been so popular that I'll talk about the 6th Eagle Scout project in a minute. Okay? We have another project out there. You'll see these markers throughout the park. This is the red loop. This is the A5 right loop, and I think there's a blue loop or a black loop around. If you happen to fall, get hurt, have a heart attack in our park, you can go to the closest one of those, or somebody go to the closest one of those, call 911, Upper Salford Park. We're at location A5. Ambulances, state police, 911 knows where to go, which was a great Eagle Scout project. And then the tan color pavilion, which is this color tan, but you see 2014 to 2000, it's 8 years and it needs repainting. That was there. Some of the water had damaged some of the wood back there. So in Green Lane Park, they have those stones which will be there. And Kevin and I and Rick agreed that, you know, we want a park that 100 years from now, it'll still be here. And we hope this pavilion will be here. So that was just done this year, which is great. So Zach's project, you know, we still need to probably paint this. Then we had 2 other projects. How many people shop at Lannis' Supermarket? Okay, you shop at Lannis' Supermarket. It's our first and only shopping center, thanks to the Planning Commission. We got that in before we really signed on to the Indian Valley Regional Planning, because we gave all our commercial, all our high density, all our industrial away to all the other townships. We got the shopping center in, but there's complications with the strip center and shopping center. They need more water than we normally do. So deep wells don't work. So they needed water, they needed some sewer relief, and the township granted it. And Mr. Huntsberger donated tennis courts to us. Beautiful tennis courts. It's about $90,000 he spent on those tennis courts. This past year, because we don't stay up when we have to redo the whole thing, we resurfaced them, painted them blue, and now hopefully they're good for another 15 years. 10 years? They're going to be promises. Unfortunately, the cracks do occur. It's macadam, but it's better. And then we did something else at the urging of other people. I really didn't care because I didn't think I'd ever get old. And we put some pickleball courts in there. So I guess I'll be playing pickleball sometime. My wife bought me frisbees or discs. Haven't used them yet.
Anyone would like to buy it?
And then the inside story, Mr. Huntsberger came back to us. Anybody notice coming down the hill in 63 and looking at the original sign for the shopping center? It was only 14 foot high. And when you're at the bottom of the hill, 14 feet high, it's like being 6 foot high. So we had a sign ordinance. And I don't know if it was the zoning hearing board or whatever, but we gave him 28 feet on that sign, so now when you come down the hill, you can see it. And out of the blue, he gave us a little pavilion over here. I just asked him why he didn't put the weather vane on top. So it's beautiful, it's an extra, look at that. You can't buy that. Look at that. It's a beautiful park, and the nice part is there's something special going on, because normally if you have a picnic here, the winds would be sweeping through here, and you'd be grabbing your paper plate because it'd be all over the place. So, but then the township had their 275th anniversary. So the township was 275 years old as Upper Salford Township. Upper Salford, Marlborough, and Lower Salford broke away and became those 3 entities. So the Mennonite population, the Lutheran population, and the middle population, which was whatever we are here. And if you look on 563, on the right, there are Mennonite houses with smaller windows. On the left are bigger windows, bigger houses. It's really strange. When you know what you're looking for, you see, oh my God. So we were given by the Patriotic Order Sons of America a 13-star flag. By the way, the Patriotic Sons of America supply the township with a new flag every year, which is fabulous. They also supply all the flags in Valley Forge Park for nothing, which is a great group. And we let them use the pavilion for their annual picnic once a year, and then they give us the flag. So we don't charge them usually $100, whatever it is. We had our beautiful new seal in our cake, and then we had Senator Mensch and Marcy Topol, and my hair wasn't gray yet, and Kevin, and I don't know where Rick was.
Who's taking a picture?
I told Rick when he started, we don't have pictures of Rick. So, whatever, but they were very supportive, and they help us do things in the park. They help us get some state grants, which is fabulous. So these are the amenities of Upper Salford. 9-hole disc golf course, thank you, Schnecks. Soccer fields, softball fields, baseball fields, tennis courts, thank you, Brian Huntsberger. Pickleball, thank you, those guys. I take no credit for that. Sand volleyball, Schnecks again. Pavilion with a refrigerator, freezer, and sink. Grills, walking trails, playground facilities, and we have a concerts. Thank you, Park Board. We also have bathrooms in the back, but we only open those on a limited basis. There were some problems when we don't have any police force and we don't have anybody to come and close them every night. That's unfortunate. The playground equipment. The key words on this slide are Mr. O'Donnell's in charge of replacing the playground.
Well, I'm getting a contract, I'm not doing it.
I'm squeezing that nickel. These people that manufacture these have special bolts. And if a bolt breaks, you can't get another one. If a part rusts, you're done. So we can't repair that, even though it's not totally, or we can't move that to another place. That's gone, that's shot. 25 years. So I think we have in the budget about $175,000, which might be some of our COVID money, to replace that, and then we're going to put another circle back there and have this thing called, what's it called?
Climbing apparatus.
It's a climbing apparatus. It's like a rat trap or something like that. So the kids could go in there and use ropes.
Not the monkey bars that we all do.
The problem with playgrounds is little kids, and what do you do with the middle-sized kids? Because some of them, brothers and sisters, are playing soccer, and some that don't play soccer have no place to go. So now we have we're going to add another circle back here and put that, what is it called?
What's that?
What's that rope thing called?
It's called, they're different models from different vendors. One is called the Crab. The one at Perkiomenville is the Crab.
Down in Perkiomen Township, they have a crab trap, is what it's called. It's pretty cool. So, Ted is out in the soccer tournament with a soccer team. We're out in Lancaster. It's in October, maybe November. The phone rings. Rick Bachman told the guy he rented the Spring Mountain to that he can't have his cyclismo bike race there. So Rick suggested that he call me. So I'm out watching these kids play soccer. You know, how are we going to do this from Lancaster? Because can you call another supervisor and get permission? So I called Mr. Hagee and Mr. Goulart, and we got permission. So they moved their event. If you've never seen one of them, it's the coolest thing. It's like cross-country bicycle racing. And they run through the volleyball court, carrying their bike in the sand. They put up 2x12s, and they jump over those. They have a 2-mile loop, maybe, 1.5-mile loop, and they do that 7 times, and there's different classes. That Sunday, this place is packed. And now we're going to send some over to Wolford Road parking lot. But they have these bicycle races, and they're all wearing helmets, and they're riding like heck. They have a timer. It's unbelievable, these people that come out here. And they'll probably have 250 riders and bikes, and they pull in here with 3 bikes and gives 1 brakes. But it's unbelievable. So they've been here 15 years? 15 years, and they write a nice check to us for $500 every year. In fact, last year, they didn't have the bicycle race. They still wrote us a check. Working together for a win-win. We have our concerts. We even have tie-dye in Upper Salford. Tie-dye is hit Upper Salford Park. Internet hasn't hit it yet, but tie-dye has. So we have different musical acts come out, and last year we had 4 concerts because we hosted Lower Frederick's concert, but they couldn't have it in their park. But it's a lot of fun. People come out, you can sit and listen to music till what, 7:30, 8 o'clock, something like that. And we do about 3 a year, and the park board does that, so we thank them for that. So it's another use for Upper Salford Park. You can see it painted here on that. So, what's that?
The concerts are coming up.
Yeah, when's the next concert? Thursday night. And the park board even gives you free snacks. Unfortunately, I teach at Chestnut Hill College on Thursday, so I can't be there. But they're a lot of fun, and the music's fun, and some people can sit in their backyards and listen to music, which is fun. So, good. So something happened in between. The ski slope was about bankrupt. And it was sort of for sale, but not for sale. So in 2000, the county and Upper Salford Township worked together to buy the Spring Mountain. The ski area was owned by the township, paid for by our own township funds with no grants from the state or anybody else. So we bought 83 acres. The county bought the woods in between the slopes because they didn't want the skiers' liability. So we took the liability. We also took what at the time was the amusement tax. But Mr. Imms put in that if the amusement tax went away, and our friend Mr. Gottschall was head of recreation and whatever ski slopes, they took the amusement tax away. So we had a lease agreement with Buckland so that each skier paid us 8% on the price of a ticket. So we took the mortgage out, we made the monthly payments, but Rick didn't have the monthly payments in June, July, and August. So he would pay us during the ski months, and it worked out pretty well. In fact, right now, we're in the 20th year of a 15-year mortgage. So you house owners know the mortgage is paid off. The ordinance says that that money goes to buy other open space. For instance, Salfordville Park, which not many people know, but it's on Berge Road and Old Skipback Road, used to be Norm Oschlager's farm. Some people know it as Miller's Farm, 43 acres, was bought with revenues from Spring Mountain skiers to the township. And the cool part about that is WB Homes had approval for 25 houses there. He was running out of time in his agreement. We negotiated with him, Kevin and myself, and Kevin said, no, go lower. He kept up there. We went lower. We got it for $975,000. We got the 43 acres, which is a good deal, but that will never be overdeveloped. They will not need a septic plant. They will not need this. So we bought that. So we own Spring Mountain. It's helping pay other open space things. Montgomery County paid 83 acres. So the front side, our side of the mountain, is totally preserved. Buckland bought the 20 acres at the bottom, which was commercial, so he still pays taxes on the commercial land. We don't pay taxes on the other. Then we had the opportunity to buy the other side of the mountain, the Spring Mountain side of the mountain. We did that with open space money, with Schwanksville's open space money, because they had no more open space to buy, so they joined with us to buy that, because they look at that side of the mountain. So they gave us their $300,000, and then we put some money in Perkiomen, we put a little money in, and Lower Frederick, because we had to go backwards, negotiation glitch, so Lower Frederick actually kicked in some money for that. So essentially, the whole mountain we own and will be permanent open space forever. Perkiomen Trail runs by there. So we did a plan, community connections. So we had the vision of going from Upper Salford Park to another asset we own, Spring Mountain. You can see in the wintertime with the white, you can see that area that we control the land of. Thankfully, we worked with Kathleen Hutt, Bill Hutt. She gave us 50 foot down the back of her farm field to the woods, and we preserved 40 acres of woodlands along Schwanksville Road, or Spring Mountain Road. Spring Mountain Road a little bit, it doesn't touch Schwanksville, it doesn't, just Spring Mountain Road. And the reason we did that was Kathleen at one time was trying to preserve their farm. But the farmland board would not buy a piece of property where 40% was woods because they're worried about farmland. So only 60% was part of that deal. So we said, we came up with a clever solution. How about if we preserve the woods, and then eventually, if you want to, you can preserve the farmland. Whatever, there might be another buyer someday. The point is, we preserve that, but when you preserve money with state grants, you have to have some kind of walking trail through. So we got what we call the strip, back in that corner at the Christopher Dock tree, straight down. Then we go through the preserved woods, that's that green area, is all preserved. Kathleen still owns it, but the development rights are gone. They're in the townships and the state's pocket, so that won't be developed. So we come down here, we go down here. Now the beauty is, we got another county community asset, which is the Perkiomen Trail. So we own Spring Mountain. Everybody owns the Perkiomen Trail. So we said park to Spring Mountain area to the Perkiomen Trail. Park to Perkiomen Trail. That, thanks to some creative stuff, will be straightened. So, this is the cool part. This is the really cool part. This is a map from a flyover about a week ago. I don't know if you can see that, but there's Spring Mountain Road. Yeah, they're putting the red stone down that's going to be macadam. That's handicap accessible. I'm going to be honest with you. I like everybody here. There is no way I'm going to push somebody's wheel trail up. Wheel trail up 10% grade. Right? This is the trail. Here's the money shot. That's the lodge. So if you drive down Spring Mountain Road, you'll see construction. That's for not for new houses. That's for our part of the Perkiomen Trail, and that's coming the trail from Kathleen's Fields, and that's the lodge and their parking lot and the tree. It's just cool to see something come together. To see a vision come together, right? Now, this is where Kevin and Rick are probably going to kill me. We did the presentation for the Wolford Road. This is the strip, as I talked about it. This is the thing. So, once again, Wolford Road, not far from the Philadelphia Folk Festival. And if you're ever here in the Folk Festival, you will see that portion of Salford Station Road be taken over by walkers carrying their camping equipment. Okay? Unfortunately, there's some big trees along the way there that would prohibit.
Oops, sorry.
Sorry. So we got that one. All right, so here's a big map, the 30,000-foot view. There's Rainbow Park. Remember 1993? There's Upper Salford Park. There is, yeah, this is across Schwanksville Road. There's a ski slope, and We own the back of the mountain too. There's the preserved woodlands of the Short Cuts. There's the Perkiomen Trail, which, by the way, Kevin was very instrumental in helping on the trail committee for that. There's Salford Park, there's the post office, there's a stone house and all that land behind. This is one of our original 1993-ish 7.5 acres that connects to Old Skipback Road that goes behind sort of the Farringer Field, which we sort of have our eye on, which is preserved, but we don't own that. And then there's this Putzing piece of property, 11 acres that we bought. I'm sorry?
Wolford Road.
It's actually,
The Wolford Road line.
yeah, the Wolford Road lot is here. So we're going down to Spring Mountain. We want to go to the Folk Festival in Perkiomen Way. We have a loop there. We'd like someday to connect to Salford Park, maybe back Mascaro's Fields and Mike Hart's Fields back and get up to Salfordville. And then we've already have this connection. We have that 7.5 acres. Oh, that's Mr. Ims's property. Before he bought it, the Farringers preserved it through the Natural Lands or Natural Lands Trust. So there should be a walking trail there. My eventual goal, or our eventual goal, hopefully, is to get to Landis Supermarket. They have walking trails. People, if you need some place to walk at night, they have walking trails that are well lit, so you can walk down there. They also connect to sidewalks, which takes you to 43 miles of trails in Lower Salford. That's a connection. We wanted to go this way to connect to Lower Salford, but it's a tough thing through Lead Rock to get to the walking trail. But they started 40 years before we started in getting these trail easements, and they have 43 acres of trails. So the idea is, let's have a walkable community. It'd be so nice. I used to be Eagle Scout potential or merit badge potential down at Landis Supermarket in a public place, and I would walk down there. I'd walk down Old Skipback Road, I'd walk down Shelley Road, and then I'd walk back. And that's not a lot of fun because that traffic is really fun. Okay? Creating an open space. I think that's what we did. And I think it's an ongoing mission. So there'll be more. We're going to protect our groundwater. We're going to protect our air. So that's it. That's some of the backstories. And yeah, I'll take some questions after Kevin reads this. There is no way. I mean, if I look at a picture, I'm teared up.
Well, I didn't bring my glasses, but I just wanted to add a few comments before I read this. You know, first off, to thank Ted, not just for the presentation tonight, but great things take a dreamer, and they take somebody with a vision. And if it wasn't for Ted working with Drew and Marilyn, I don't know that we would have seen this park. So Ted, thank you for that. And then I just want to share one backstory, and it truly is a backstory because it's behind this pavilion. As Ted mentioned, Peter Simone is the architect for the park, and Peter and I have worked together on other parks. And he was very excited about the opportunity to do this park. He put a lot of effort into it. I got a phone call. He was in a panic. Marilyn is not happy. I said, Peter, what's wrong? He goes, she doesn't like the way the pavilion turned out. I said, what do you mean? It's a beautiful pavilion. Well, Marilyn wanted this pavilion with this section over there and this open area back there. Classic park development, though, requires you to put the open section here for security reasons. As Peter, let's talk about this. What can we do? Let's keep Maryland happy. It's kind of important. And that's where the little gazebo that many of us will remember was behind here. After all of the effort, all of the design, all of the back and forth, all of the money that was spent, Maryland wanted a place for the mothers to be able to sit and watch their children play. And that's another little backstory on some of the things that happened in the development of this park.
So why don't you tell Pete to put another section like this on the other side?
And I don't have the vision that you have. To bring it all together, I think the reason all of us as parents and community members and people that serve the community, and I see so many familiar faces that worked on this park, and I'd just like to add my thanks to all of you, and there's so many of you here, either the Eagle Scout Project, planning and working with volunteers to do landscaping, which is a monumental task. It's hard enough to get my employees to do it, nonetheless getting volunteers to do it. And those of you that have supported all of us, that, you know, we're the faces, but you're the effort behind all of this. And if it wasn't for your support, we wouldn't have been able to do it. It brings us to, dear Mr. and Mrs. Lewis, thank you for building the beautiful park. We go there whenever we can. My brother loves the slides, and I love the swings. My mom walks on the walking trail. Thank you again, your friend Stephanie Camuso, age 5, with a beautiful picture of she and her brother playing in the playground with little hearts. I think that really says it all. That's what we're here for, and that's what we work for.
Any questions? I'll answer one quickly. The split rail fence is so that Drew was a horse guy, so the horses stay outside the park, but there is an area if they wanted to stay off Schweitzman. So that's why the split rail fence is out there. Any questions? Yes?
You mentioned, Ted, about the next 9 holes for the disc golf.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I'm sorry. There will be a 6th Eagle Scout project. Kevin and I signed off. We met with the young man. We signed off. Kevin, through some friends, heard that Salford Township had 9 baskets that they ripped out of their park because the park was not being used over there. The disc golf wasn't being used. And that was an Eagle Scout project also. So Kevin negotiated a deal with Bart Lynch and Salford Township. So Upper Salford bought, what, $250?
Yes.
$250, all 9 baskets. That's a great deal. Each basket is about $450 to $500. So or more. So we bought all 9, and so this Eagle Scout came. He comes up from Talmenton with his dad to play disc golf. So he asked us about a project. We said, we got the baskets, so what he's going to do is take a course this way. So he has the maps, he's working on it. The Eagle Scout project is signed off. We're their recipient. He's got all the other signatures. So thank you, Don. I totally forgot. It was on the slides, but we moved. So my wife wanted to keep moving. So the point is that there will be a 6th Eagle Scout project. We will also be planning, we're talking about the 25th anniversary of this park. So we're going to have a community day. We're going to have, see if we can get some free hot dogs and hamburgers and donations and do something to better the park. In the meantime, we're hoping to dedicate that trail and dedicate the new swing sets at that 25th anniversary. So, any other questions? Thanks for bringing that up, Don. please do.
Is there a targeted opening date now, Ted? Are you that close with the extension?
Well, the trail, you mean? Kevin read it in the riot act because this was supposed to be done May 28th. COVID, some of the shortages, they had pipe that they ordered was in supplier, and before they got down there to get it, he sold it to somebody else. So we got the pipe, and Marty's very creative. There's some issues with some stormwater drainage and stuff, but there is stone on the trail. It goes down, it was pretty funny. I took the liberty of driving down there on Sunday to get some pictures. So I drove down there to where we put a 60-inch pipe in for the stream. It's all stone down there and then it stops. So I had to turn around on this little stone area to come back, and then somebody looked, because the gate was open, somebody looked at me. They're on the trail on Wolford Road, and it says, "Closed, do not enter." And they were like giving me a dirty look that I was driving on the trail. And so I wanted to say something. During the folk festival, I do check in here because we close the park, and I was flagged down, and Chick Winter flags me down, stops the car, gets in front of the car, goes to the car. I roll down the window and he goes, "Oh, it's you." It's, "Yeah, I'm just checking the park." He goes, "I checked it too." So,
Target date.
target date?
Let me, as Ted alluded to, that the contractor's experiencing a lot of challenges, getting helpers, getting material, and we have certain protocols that we have to follow with testing of the soils and things, so it's taking a lot longer than we expected. We hope to have what we're referring to as phase 1, which is from the park down to Spring Mountain Road, the construction completed sometime mid-September. Our goal is to go immediately to start phase 2, which is the Spring Mountain Adventure side. And we recently Ted negotiated with the property owner so we can bring the trail directly in front of the White House that's there, saving about 350 trees and literally thousands of dollars. We hope to start that in October, but it's going to be contingent on the availability of supplies and personnel. Ultimate goal is by next spring to have everything open. We will not be opening up the first section immediately because it would be a dead end on a dangerous intersection. And until we create the crossing and somewhere for people to go, for liability reasons, we will not be opening that section until the whole thing is done, or at least most of it is done, at least to Spring Mountain Adventures. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. So we're not sure. But believe me, 28 years or 27 years as a supervisor, I learned one thing: patience. Yes, Tara's back there. We negotiated with Tara and Joe. How many calls were like, "Is there any progress?" Government takes time. The county takes time. And I finally called her and said, "Hey, you want to close next week?" And we closed. So that was pretty wild. So yeah, that's 24 acres, and her grandfather, right?
Yep.
Wanted it to go to the township to become open space. He was 90 years old and had what, Joe? 10 of you? 9 of you? How many?
10 children.
10 children. Yeah.
9 boys, 1 girl.
Wow. There you go. But he wanted it to go to town. So do you know anybody that have farms that out there that they don't know what they're going to do with their farms? Come talk to me. We can work deals out. We have a lot of tools in our toolbox. We have tax exemption. We have condemnation, friendly condemnation. If anybody wants a trail, people don't understand. I'm on a Blue Ribbon committee right now in Montgomery County. looking at the value of trails. If you live down in Radnor Township, the value of a trail going through your property or adjacent to your property is something like $12,000 additional. People don't list or put the real estate signs on the road, they put the real estate signs on the trail. Up here, if you want to perk in the trail, whatever, it's like $4,000 last we checked, it may be more. But if you're within half an hour or half a mile of a park or a trail, your value to sell your property is going up close to $7,500 to $10,000, or $7,500 to $10,000, which is just crazy. So people should want trails, not want trails. And it's a great community asset.
Well, the Historic Committee thanks you very much, Ted, for doing the presentation. It was wonderful. Thank you all for coming. Hope to see you in another meeting that we have. Keep in touch with us over Facebook.